Home Internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of essentials. Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time, when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
Houston Astros opened up their series with the New York Yankees with a 9-7 win in the Bronx last night. Yainer Diaz had a huge night at the plate, going 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 3 RBI. Game 2 of the series will be tonight, and it'll be Peter Lambert on the mound for Houston while the Yankees are yet to name their starter. First pitch is at 6:05 p.m., and you can listen to it on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Around the AL West, the White Sox beat the Rangers 11-7, the Guardians beat the Angels 8-6, the Athletics beat the Twins 4-2, and the Mariners beat the Phillies 4-1. With those results, Houston still narrowly holds on to first place with a half-game lead over the Rangers. A few recent LSU signings could see their futures with the Tigers in jeopardy after SEC schools voted unanimously 16-0 to bar athletes from returning to college sports after playing for a professional franchise. The rule states that if a player has declared for a professional draft and did not withdraw, signed a pro contract, or has been listed by a professional franchise's roster, then the player is ineligible to return to play in college, and any schools that violate this can be penalized by the league's commissioner. In Williamsport yesterday, 4 teams kept their Little League World Series hopes alive by fending off elimination. Today, 4 more games will take place. In the winner's bracket at 12, Curacao will play Latin America. Then the Mountain Region will play the Midwest at 2 p.m. Then in the elimination bracket, Canada will play Japan at 4 p.m. and Southeast will face the Great Lakes region at 6 p.m. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. We are anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and streaming live on YouTube, ESPN_SWLA. We broadcast live here from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette, which is where we are, of course, this afternoon. James Mesh is across the glass. Dawson Iserloh with you for the next 2 hours. The drama of the offseason, I have never, I said this yesterday, I'm doubling, I'm tripling, I'm quadrupling, I'm quintupling down. I have never been more ready for the start of football season. And some of it is because I love football, but a lot of it is just because we've got to get off these topics of this never-ending saga of who's eligible, what court case is being heard today, who's got an injunction, who's got a restraining order, which judge is in charge, which conference rule is going to be invoked. Do the conference rules supersede the judgments that are made by the court system? Does court rulings from other states matter? Does the jurisdiction spread from one state to the other? I just can't keep doing it, but we have to keep doing it, at least for a little while longer, because LSU may or may not have significant additions to their roster, or they might not, and we don't know the answer to that. And they play, I might remind you, I want to count the exact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. That is 10 days. It is almost single digits. And they don't know if those players are going to be eligible or not. It sounds like the Notre Dame pass rusher who's got 100 T's and 100 K's in his name, sounds like he's going to be good to go regardless. The same probably can't be said for Pyburn and Xavier Harris and these other players who, by the way, they're still out there recruiting other former pros apparently. It is exhausting to say the least, and it's not like there's not one party to point the blame at. That's the common thing right now is to be like, well, is it all on LSU? Is it all on the SEC? Is it all on the court system? Is it all on the NCAA? Is it all on the lawyers? I don't know who to point blame at. There's not really. Everybody's trying to do what's best for them. The problem is we don't have, like, what very little rule sets we did have, nobody feels like they have to follow. So it is creating all this. And so my hope is that when we get to next Saturday, I know this Saturday there are some games, but like next Saturday when everybody plays, are we just forced to put it behind us and go, hey man, we had a crazy game between LSU and Clemson. Regardless of who's in there and who's out of there, we got to talk about this football game. That's my hope. That's what I hope to get to. But until that point, I don't exactly know what we're going to find out. We do have a loaded up show for you today, so we'll get to that guest list before we start with Locked In. 1:30, Steve Sparks, the voice of the Houston Astros, part of the team there on our radio broadcast. You hear him all the time on our airwaves. Steve Sparks, of course, with Robert Ford. They are in the Bronx right now. The big-time win. It's actually where we're going to start the show today is with the Astros over the Yankees. So Sparky is in New York. He will join us live at the bottom of the hour to talk Astros. Of course, they moved on from Dana Brown, and they retook the division lead last night, so a whole lot going on in Astroland. We'll talk with him at 1:30. Zach Nagy, normal slot for us, top of the second hour, 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. And I jokingly texted Zach this morning and said, hey, not a whole lot to talk about, right? Except, the ever-changing fabric of the sport that may be in jeopardy once again. So Zach and I will break it down. He's had the latest from like the LSU perspective on this, where they're at. So I look forward to getting an update on what he thinks is going to happen, his best knowledge of what's going to happen and all that stuff. We'll do that at the top of the second hour. And then at the bottom of the second hour, just one Preview 32 for today. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to head to Steel Town, and Alan Saunders covers the Steelers, does a great job for us. He was on last year with us. He'll return, and we will talk Aaron Rodgers and company. Little sleeper wide receiver. I don't know about sleeper. Wide receiver in that offense that I think might do a little better than DK Metcalf. I'll say that. Got that thought on my mind right now. But we'll talk with Alan Saunders at the bottom of the second hour. That'll round out our guest list for the day. All that and more coming up here 1 to 3 p.m. So keep it locked in. And we will start by getting locked in on a pretty good baseball game that happened in New York last night.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
Okay, so I've said it. I'm just trying to enjoy this sanctuary that is baseball for a little while longer because I'm ready to flip the gears to football. But as of now, we don't have it yet. So last night, the Astros and the Yankees in the Bronx. The Yankees have always been my most hated team, just from a fan standpoint. But the Astros have kind of owned them in my lifetime, at least in my adult lifetime. And that continued last night. Man, what a game it was, though. This was back and forth. This was like the definition of just a good old-fashioned baseball game. Maybe not old-fashioned because there was a lot of scoring involved, but Ethan Pecco got the ball for the Stros, his second career start. You can see the potential there. I think the Astros probably know this kid's not really ready yet, but they didn't have a ton of choice in the matter because of all the injuries and just inconsistencies in the rotation. So he makes his second start. I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the big leagues, but pretty cool for him. His first start at home in front of a nice crowd at Dyken Park, so he gets introduced to his fans, and then his second career start ever. How about on the road in the Bronx against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium? And look, he pitched okay early on, got out of a couple jams, but then in the third inning gave up a big 3-run shot. Then he gave up a 2-run shot in the fifth. only gets you through 4 1/3, gives up the 5 earned runs, walked 4. So that's the only weird thing with Pecco so far is he was a noted strike thrower in the minor leagues. That was kind of his biggest thing. He's not going to walk. He's not going to get free bases. And he's really struggled with command in the first 2 starts and some walks. Maybe you can contribute that to nerves, trying to be a little bit too fine on the edges in the big leagues. But last night specifically, both times he gave up a homer, there was a runner on base who had walked. So you're kind of sit there and go, of the 5 runs, he pretty much gave them 2 of them at least, right? If you want to use that logic. The Astros offense, though, it was back last night. Throughout this season, I've never been scared of the Astros offense. We haven't had a ton of protection behind Yordan Alvarez. Yordan's having a special season. It is an all-time season. It's going to be remembered in baseball history. If he, finishes it off and wins some of these Triple Crowns, it will be fully cemented in baseball history. But it's been a mostly down year for Altuve. It's been an up and down year for Christian Walker, but not a huge year for him either. Cam Smith's been down. Yainer Diaz hasn't been great and hasn't played as much as you'd like him to. So, outside of Isak, who's come around, and Jeremy Pena, who's had a really nice season, they've really, really let Yordan Alvarez carry them. And lucky for them, he's been up to the challenge. Last night, though, was a nice change of pace. How about Dalton Varsho with a couple clutch 2-out RBI knocks? The trade deadline acquisition that hasn't panned out to this point. Yainer Diaz went 3 for 4, hit 2 homers, 9 total bags, drove in 3. Yainer was swinging it well at Yankee Stadium. His just refusal to walk, by the way. You want to talk about a guy who would not have been welcomed onto the Moneyball era Oakland A's? Yainer Diaz is still right now, for the entire season, sitting at 10 walks. Yainer Diaz's career high for walks in a season, okay? The most that Yainer Diaz has ever walked across a 162-game Major League season is 24. Yordan Alvarez has been intentionally walked more than that this season already, okay? And Yordan's career high for walks, by the way, is 91, and that's happened this year. So Yordan Alvarez has been intentionally walked 28 times this season. Yainer Diaz has been walked, intentional or otherwise, 10 for the whole year. That is unbelievable. The dude swings at everything, but he was hitting them last night, so no big complaints. So this game I mentioned to you goes back and forth throughout the entire process. Luis Garcia Jr., the Astros couldn't get him out. He went 4 for 5, hit a homer, drove in 3. Cody Bellinger got one out of there as well. But down the stretch, how about a 3-run 8th inning, and it's who other? Yordan, RBI triple. To watch the big fella just glide around the bases, man. I mean, it was a special thing to watch. Yankee Stadium, we give him a lot of flack for the short porches in left and right, but that ballpark gets pretty big in the alleys. And so Yordan hustling out the gate as well. Gets all the way to third, RBI triple to give you the lead. Nice little clutch 2-out RBI single from Isak Paredes as well. So the Stros ended up with a 2-run advantage, or it was actually got to 3. Yanks get one back, then the Astros add on an insurance run in the 9th, and then it was Josh Hader to close it out. Josh Hader is another player who's quietly having an unbelievable season. The ERA for Hader is now down to 0.81. He has struck out 44 and 33 in the 3rd innings, and he's 19 for 19 in save attempts. Josh Hader is unbelievable, and it's from the left side. It's not like he doesn't throw 102 like Aroldis Chapman, It's 94 to 97, but it's got sink on it, and then that slider's a wipeout pitch. He is fun to watch. It's mainly just a 2-pitch guy, but nobody can hit him, and the Astros win the game. It was a 4-out save, by the way. How about this? My favorite number from last night as well. A 4-out save for Josh Hader in which he only had to throw 10 pitches. 10 pitches to get 4 outs. So you'd think, hey, 4-out save, he was stretched out, probably going to be down today. No, he's probably available. Astros might go back to him if they have a chance to close out the Yankees here on a Wednesday night. Peter Lambert gets the start tonight, who has been the Astros' most reliable pitcher, but has had a really, really rough month of August so far. I had the numbers pulled for you. For Peter Lambert, it is a month in which he started off by going 5 2/3, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs. He went 3 2/3 in his last outing, gave up 9 earned. So it was a really, really rough second half of the month, I guess, let's say, for Lambert, and the Astros cannot afford for that to continue to be the case. So we'll see. Prior to that bad outing on the 20th for Lambert, he had gone All of July, the 3 starts in August, so that's 3 plus 5, that's 8. 8 consecutive starts without allowing more than 2 earned runs, and then obviously it was undone with all the other runs he gave up against the Angels. So Astros and Yankees tonight, 6:05. You can listen to it right here, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, and we will revisit the Astros with Steve Sparks at the bottom of the hour. He'll be our first guest of the day. All right, let's take a break. I've got something in my throat. We'll work on getting that cleared up, and we will talk LSU some more. We have some Lane Kiffin clips that were from Monday. I don't think they're outdated just yet. They might be outdated soon, but we're going to play this and talk about the latest on who's eligible and who's not. That's next. It's the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season in full swing, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home, bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall, have an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications, know your evacuation routes, and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery-powered radio, and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Make sure to set your alarm and tune in Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock for Sports Shorts here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Join me, Ronnie Rance, and the Sports Shorts team of Tommy Christsan, Hunter McCann, and the crazy man, Joel Davis, as we break down the sports and teams that you love. The LSU Tigers, New Orleans Saints, and everything in between. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to noon for Sports Shorts here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet, heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes, and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. BB'sAutoSales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
Since 1958, Alamo Glass has been serving Acadiana's glass needs. Alamo Glass does outstanding work on residential windows, custom shower doors, mirrors, custom framing, commercial storefronts, and door repairs. Alamo Glass also carries plexiglass and Lexan. Need a windshield or rock chip repair? Alamo Glass offers free mobile service as well as free estimates on any of your glass projects. Call Alamo Glass, 1220 Bertrand Drive, or call 233-8811. Need glass? Call Alamo Glass.
Cozy season is ahead, and you'll be spending way more time inside. Is your home ready? Don't worry. With Wayfair, you can upgrade your space without breaking the bank. Score up to 70% off during their Labor Day clearance on furniture, area rugs, mattresses, and more. Plus, surprise flash deals you can't miss. Whether it's one room or the whole house, Wayfair has pieces for every style and budget.
Shop Wayfair's Labor Day clearance now through September 7th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This is ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Okay, so we talked about this Lane Kiffin situation. This was on Monday, so since then we've gotten a new ruling that has changed things a bit. But let's just hear it in Lane's own words. He decided to address the elephant in the room.
All right, so I'll beat you to it. So, we have, made a decision to recruit some kids around the country. And, through these multiple injunctions around the country, which this is not a first time, they've been in college sports for a while, a group of players were granted a 5th year of eligibility around the country in multiple sports. And through them winning their injunction and entry into the portal, they're available to recruit. And so ourselves, like many places around the country, are recruiting them. And at the end of the day, because of these rulings, they're either going to play for you or they're going to play somewhere else around the country. So we've made a decision to recruit them, like probably most people are.
I know he caught some flack as well for kind of like underlying the idea that if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it as his logic for it. I don't know if I feel like if you want to make a decision that you're okay with it, then you're going to be going full steam ahead and you're not going to. That's the other thing about it that's been interesting. I thought maybe once they got the Daquan Wright thing figured out, it was going to be like, all right, we've got our one guy that we think is going to bolster it. Although the Xavier Harris one probably made more sense from a football standpoint as far as like a point of need where you needed some help on the D line. But this is where you're at. Like, so I don't know. Here's the other clip I'll play from Kiffin, and then after that, we'll kind of use the information we've gotten since then to try and fill in some gaps here. This is Kiffin being asked straight up, like, are you comfortable with NFL players playing college football?
I think that situations are different. So, in general, should NFL players come back to college? I believe, it doesn't matter necessarily what I believe, that answer would be no. I think every circumstance should be looked at differently. This is a very unique circumstance. Again, because I think there's not a lot of education on this, how this all happened. The judge found that these players should have been told and should have known that they were going to be eligible for a 5th year, which every player moving forward, every athlete moving forward in all sports has. And so they should have known that in December when they were making decisions. Had they known that, they would have stayed. They had no eligibility. So this is not many other circumstances that have been discussed over the years about professionals coming back. They did not know they had a year. Since then, the judge has said, you do have a year. And so because of that, this is a different situation in that where they're just going back to play. They're wanting to go back to play the year that they've been granted. Not an individual case where one player went somewhere to try to win a case. This is a lot of athletes in these, and a lot of these around the country that, from my information, isn't stopping. That there are cases right now that are going to come out where there's other athletes in the same cases. And so you may end up having hundreds of athletes in this case that are told they have a 5th year. And so this is just a really unique circumstance that isn't a traditional, just pros going back to college, just because they.
So he's right, okay? And I do think that is something that's being overlooked a little bit of how unique this situation is that the players, you can argue, would have stayed. But then where I'll push back on that a little bit is, and I'm not saying that they really had all the information in front of them, because as we've been telling you, this stuff's changing every 10 minutes, so who's to know? But it was not like once these players found out it was a possibility that they were going back to college that they said, hey, NFL team, thank you for the opportunity, but I think I might have a chance to play college football, and I need to go back to that, and I need to worry about that. Daquan Wright was willing to have his cake and eat it too, okay? He was willing to stick around and see if he made the roster. We got those notifications. There was an agreement in place if he were to be waived. After we found out that he was interested in playing for LSU and quote-unquote committed there, he went out and played another preseason game with the Browns. So I agree with Kiffin on the part that these players were in kind of one way unfairly not educated about the fact that they would have an extra year of eligibility. But they also were still pretty okay with kind of reaping the benefits of both sides of this and going, I'm going to stay in NFL camp as long as I can. And then once I get cut, that's when I'll figure out if I can go play college football. So I don't think it's the most innocent situation in the world, even if Kiffin's point is well made, well received, and he has some real validity to what he's saying about these players not knowing that they had eligibility when their college careers, quote unquote, wrapped up at the end of last season. What gets more complicated about this situation today is that we have now found out that the SEC has followed up with what the Big Ten did. Remember, Sankey was on the record as saying he did not think this was good and was not okay with it. So the SEC passes a ruling that says you cannot play in the SEC this year if you have any sort of professional background, if you became a pro. They had those things. We read them to you yesterday, like the specific language behind what constitutes a player who played professionally. Then we got more clarification today. The SEC has done what they had to do. And by the way, it was reported on yesterday that this was unanimously approved, this legislation that was going to ban professional players. LSU included on that. Now, were they told, hey, you're going to agree to this? I don't know how much of a conversation it was, but they voted to approve that. Then we find out today there's punishments, suspending a coach for half the season, taking away 50% of the operating budget, which I don't even know how they can do that, but apparently they can do that too. So the SEC has not only made this ruling, but they've backed it up and said, and if you try to go around us, here's what we got for you. It sounds like, again, this preliminary injunction. So now all these players, they have a preliminary injunction scheduled for August 31st. The SEC can't just make up a rule that goes against what, like if the court said, hey, everyone has to be eligible, and the SEC makes a rule that says, nope, actually no one can be eligible. I don't think they have more power than the court. So that's like what Kevin and I were going back and forth on this morning. I don't know who's going to win out in this situation, and I really don't know. So I guess that's where I'll leave it, because that's what I have for you, and that's what I know about. We'll see if Zach can add anything to the situation and add anything based on what he's been hearing at the top of hour number 2. For now, let's do this. Let's take a little bit of an early break. We will hear from Steve Sparks, our friend, the Astros broadcaster, after the timeout. We'll talk some Astros baseball in just a bit.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Small Sliders of Lafayette. We've been telling you about them for a while now, and I told you I had some more exciting stuff going on. Well, first of all, how about this? National Dog Day. That is right. That is today. Free dog bandanas with a $10 Small Sliders purchase. So they're encouraging you as well to tag them on social media with that as well, celebrating the pups of the world. But in addition to that, all fall long, you got those parties coming up, tailgates, house party, watching the games, everything happening in the fall. You want to take care of your tailgating and take care of your catering easier with Small Sliders. They've got those slider packages ready to roll, 30 of them in a box. You can get more if you need more. They've got the fries. They can do the same thing there, the queso, the small sauce, everything you know and love about Smalls, but for a big crowd, right? Feed that whole party of yours. Make it easier. Call Small Sliders, either location, Ambassador Caffrey or Bertrand Drive here in the Lafayette area. Or if you're headed by the restaurant, just swing by, slide through, tell them D-Loh sent you. It means a lot. That's Small Sliders of Lafayette.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
Houston Astros opened up their series with the New York Yankees with a 9-7 win in the Bronx last night. Yainer Diaz had a huge night at the plate, going 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 3 RBI. Game 2 of the series will be tonight, and it'll be Peter Lambert on the mound for Houston while the Yankees are yet to name their starter. First pitch is at 6:05 p.m., and you can listen to it on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Around the AL West, the White Sox beat the Rangers 11-7. The Guardians beat the Angels 8-6. The Athletics beat the Twins 4-2, and the Mariners beat the Phillies 4-1. With those results, Houston still narrowly holds on to first place with a half-game lead over the Rangers. A few recent LSU signings could see their futures with the Tigers in jeopardy after SEC schools voted unanimously 16-0 to bar athletes from returning to college sports after playing for a professional franchise. The rule states that if a player has declared for a professional draft and did not withdraw, signed a pro contract, or has been listed by a professional franchise's roster, then the player is ineligible to return to play in college, and any schools that violate this can be penalized by the league's commissioner. In Williamsport yesterday, 4 teams kept their Little League World Series hopes alive by fending off elimination. Today, 4 more games will take place. In the winner's bracket at 12, Curacao will play Latin America. Then the Mountain Region will play the Midwest at 2 p.m. Then in the elimination bracket, Canada will play Japan at 4 p.m. and Southeast will face the Great Lakes region at 6 p.m. I'm Blake Persher, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
It's a great time to get out on the water, and Black's has you covered. Black's Outdoor Marine is Acadiana's Tohatsu Outboard and Low Boats headquarters. Tohatsu Outboards are reliable, affordable, and backed by a 5-year warranty. Black's has low-interest financing and can handle your outboard or mud motor repair. Stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette or call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272. Black's Outdoor Marine, serving Acadiana since 1968.
Something big is coming on September 2nd. DraftKings Game Day arrives with massive deals, exclusive offers, and an all-day celebration built for sports fans. Sign up with DraftKings today with code 1037GAME and get ready to celebrate the biggest day of the season. Mark the date, September 2nd. DraftKings Game Day is the kickoff of a new season, a new era, and the biggest day in sports history. Get ready to celebrate. New DraftKings customers sign up with code 1037GAME. Spend $5 to get $200 in bonus bets within 21 days. That's code 1037GAME. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-MY-RESET. 21 plus. Physically present in Louisiana. Availability varies by parish. Eligibility restrictions apply. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. $50 in non-withdrawable bonus bets issued every 7 days via click to claim for 21 days. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer.
T-Mobile has an exclusive bundle for customers 55 and up.
I'm Sarah Bowl.
Yeah, I'm Frank Bowl.
A reliable network is key for us. And with T-Mobile, it's been wonderful. And going to the 55 plus plan saved us so much money.
A lot.
And that's important. Trying to keep costs down. The home internet's been perfect. It's fast, it's quick. The setup was so easy, it took less than 15 minutes.
It was like, ta-da! If you want simplicity, coverage, reliability, you want the whole package, T-Mobile has it.
Right now, T-Mobile customers 55 and up can get 2 phone lines on America's best network, plus America's fastest 5G home internet for just $30 each.
$30 per month each line with autopay plus taxes and fees. Minimum age 55. Pricing for home internet rely on 2 lines of Essentials Choice 55. $35 connection charge per line required. Best mobile network and fastest 5G home internet based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence Data 2H 2025. All rights reserved.
You're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. Your home for the Houston Astros.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown. We are trying to get in contact with our friend Steve Sparks, who is on the road, as we mentioned, with the Astros, who are playing in New York. So we're going to see if we can get him. If not, that's okay. We will have more things to talk about here in the next few minutes. So, one thing we've talked about in the past, as I mentioned, like with where this Astros team is, and kind of like, really where they would like to be. I wonder too, like, is this pitching staff right now that saw Ethan Pecco, gut him through 4 innings last night. Is that going to be the norm of the rest of the season? Is that going to be something that requires you to try to piece together 4 to 5 inning starts at most and then tax your bullpen for another 4 or 5 innings night in, night out? Because if that's the case, then quite honestly, it's just not going to work for this team. And they're not going to be able to win enough games down the stretch. We already discussed it. I don't understand how, especially with a team like this Astros club, with how the lack of starting depth, you'd think that their ability to, play against some of the worst teams in the league would be a big benefit for them. Ironically enough, that just has not been the case. To this point, we have had, this team play better against the teams with a good record and play poorly against the teams that we probably think they should be beaten up on. With all that being said, though, we do have with us Steve Sparks, one of the radio voices of the Houston Astros, who you hear on these airwaves all the time. Steve, thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. How you guys doing?
We are good. We're good. I was wondering, too, Steve, obviously you guys are in New York all week with the Mets, the next series up. Is that a situation you stay on one side of the city? You guys move around? What's it look like where you got 6 games in New York?
That's the beauty of it. We stay put, man. We're in the same hotel for a week, and that's a rarity. And to be able to do that made it pretty nice. A lot of the families that have joined as well to spend a week in New York. But right now it's business as usual for the players, because they're in a situation right now where they really got to start putting some things together.
I was just talking about that. It's been kind of, stunning to me how well this team's played against teams with winning records and maybe at times how poorly they've played against, the likes of the Angels and the A's and the struggling teams, especially given the lack of pitching depth. Sometimes you think that means you maybe have to wait and take advantage of some weaker opponents. What do you think it is about this group that's allowed them to play well against the better teams?
I've played on enough teams where that's been the case and seen enough teams to see where that's the case. Sometimes you just play to the level of your competition, whether you mean to or not. I mean, it's just human nature sometimes to get up for a game at Yankee Stadium. The fans kind of energize you, and it's more of a playoff atmosphere. You just get that feeling of, all right, there's a sense of urgency right now, and I've really got to lock in. So I think that's the case for most of that. As much as you want to say, hey, these guys are getting paid a lot of money to play like that every single day, man, it's a long season, and sometimes you need a little help.
It's, it's kind of the elephant in the room right now. Of course, Dana Brown's out, and it's not the first time this has happened. There was an interesting note on the broadcast last night on the TV side of things that now, 3 of the teams in the division have changed GMs throughout the season. How tough is that for the players in that locker room? And, even Joe Espada certainly has been asked some questions about his future as well. How tough is that to keep? Or is it something that kind of brings you together and goes, hey, let's focus up. It's us in the room.
I think the players are pretty good at isolating themselves from the news that's going around. Even you talk about the trade deadline, and, there's certain players that are probably mentioned. There's rumors. You feel like, oh, my gosh, am I going to be here in a week? What am I going to do with my family? And once the dust settles with that, you're able to just concentrate on baseball. And I think for the most part, players, they have routines. They know how to prepare for games to be at their best on any given day. So I don't think they let a lot of the ancillary things get in their way of performing at their best. It's tough, though, looking out from the outside in on the side of it where I am now. You develop relationships with people, and you're not going to get to see them on a regular basis like you have. And we really appreciated Dana Brown, his transparency, and his willingness to give us information and come on board with us every week, all of those things that made us a good friend to our broadcast.
This team, as we mentioned, last night, as a result of the Rangers' loss and, of course, the Astros beating the Yankees in what was a great baseball game, they retake the division lead. And so it all feels like it's a mess, and yet it's right there in front of you. What do you make of the situation they're in, given that, and we know it, once you get in the playoffs, if you're able to get there, then all bets are off. So, just kind of trying to keep that focus and feeling like you've got a half-game lead in the division, whether it feels like you do or not.
you know what? You're lucky. I mean, you got to feel very fortunate you are where you are right now. And nobody's really gone on a sustained run. The Astros did win 11 out of 12 at one point, but right after that, I think they're 9 and 11 or something. So it kind of washes it out. You know, it haven't been able to put together a couple of spurts in a row where you can separate yourselves. And the Rangers and the Mariners are telling themselves the same thing. So it's going to come down to that. The Astros have a tough schedule, maybe tougher than the other two, but I still don't think that they played their best baseball. And I think, you know, you get a start from Lambert today. You win a big game yesterday. I thought that was a huge win for the team yesterday in a start by Ethan Pecco in his second big league start. It's at Yankee Stadium. You come away out-slugging the Yankees and winning that game and set yourself up for a possible series win here in New York. You face somebody that's kind of a up-and-down pitcher with Elmer Rodriguez today, with probably the Astros' most consistent starter of the year, Peter Lambert, albeit his last start wasn't good. But you feel good about the matchup today, and hopefully you win this series and try to get greedy tomorrow night. But they're in a situation right now. I think it's their next sixth series. Everybody's in a hunt right now, except for the New York Mets, the team they play next, who are actually playing pretty good baseball. So it's going to be tough for the Astros, but like I said, I don't think they've played their best. I like their approaches at the plate yesterday, and of course Jordan does the things that we've seen him do all year long. He's the best hitter in baseball, and as long as the other teams are going to pitch to him, they're going to keep getting burned.
Let's go right there, Steve. Jordan's been unbelievable. We know he's, chasing some baseball history, Triple Crown, not only in the American League, the Major League Triple Crown is still at least somewhat in reach. Is this the single most impressive season you've ever gotten a chance to witness, watching it day in and day out? If not, how far up there does it rank?
It's at the top. It's at the very top, and it's not even close for me. And I've seen some pretty good ones, but what he's done all season long has been phenomenal. And we've just been waiting for him to be able to stay on the field, be healthy, and be able to show how great of a hitter he is. He showed up in 2019. We saw him in spring training, and we marveled at the plate discipline, how smart and mature he appeared. And we knew that it was only a matter of time where he was going to be slotted right in the middle of the lineup. And I think it was really big that he had Yuli Gurriel on his team at the beginning of his career. That enabled him to really understand who he was and how to develop a nice routine. And Jordan's a very quiet leader on this team. I talked to Jim Palmer, Hall of Fame pitcher, who does some telecast work with the Baltimore Orioles the other day. And everybody that I've always talked to, me included, I've always said David Ortiz when you compare Jordan to who they might remind you of. And guys like Dusty Baker would say Willie McCovey. Jim Palmer said Tony Oliva, who's a Hall of Famer, one of the best hitters in the 60s and late 50s, maybe early 70s a little bit with Minnesota. I thought that was an interesting answer. I talked to Paul O'Neill, who does television work for the Yankees last night, and told him what Palmer told me, and he got excited about that. It's like, all right, I really want to look at Tony Oliva now because I haven't really seen anybody like Jordan Alvarez, somebody who's as complete a package of a hitter as we're seeing right now.
Steve Sparks is our guest, part of the Astros radio broadcast team. Of course, you can hear Steve oftentimes on our airwaves bringing you Astros games, including tonight when they've got a 6:05 first pitch in the Bronx against the Yankees. Steve, let's talk about this pitching staff. I said it last night, just even to watch Pecco kind of try to grind you through 5 innings or so, maybe he's not, I'm sure the Astros ideally wouldn't have ever had him pitching in the big leagues this season. It just hasn't worked out with some of their other guys. Have you started to see a blueprint? I know even Mike Burrow's name has popped up as someone you could also get back. But, how do they find a way to piece it together to where you're not asking too much of this bullpen that's been really good when they haven't been overtaxed?
Yeah. That's exactly right. I came up with these numbers the other day. It's when just a quality start. You know what a quality start is, 6 or more innings with 3 earned runs or less. When the Astros starting pitchers have a quality start, which isn't asking too much, I don't think. I mean, you got to be decent to get a little deeper into these ball games, but you got to conserve some pitches. But you got to be efficient. You got to throw 2 of your first 3 pitches for strikes, get ahead and leverage things. But when they have a quality start from a starter, Their bullpen's ERA is 2.27 this year, which is phenomenal. But it sets things up for your leverage relievers, and they're in a situation where they don't have to cover 4 innings. They just have to cover, 3 innings, which is 9 outs, or hopefully 7 outs, something like that. Get some outs in the 7th inning would do wonders for this bullpen. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform the last month of the season because of how much usage guys like Okert, A.J. Blueball, Hader, Abreu, these guys have had during the course of this year, and how much they have left in the tank at the end. We'll see. But I think a lot of it is going to have to be shouldered by the starting pitchers. Hunter Brown needs to get a little deeper in the games. Lambert continued to do what he's been doing. Then you got to find some guys in the 3, 4, 5 slots of the rotation. I think Burrows is probably going to be an option at some point. Not sure when. I know he's going to make one more minor league start for sure, but he's looked good in those. What we saw of Burrows in spring training, he looks to me, and I thought he was a little bit unlucky this year, and he would probably tell you he could pitch way better than he did, and I agree. But I think there's a lot in there, and I think he can be a solid rotation piece for the upcoming years. And hopefully it starts with this year. I think if they get him up here, I think he'd give him a good shot to get him deep into the ball games.
When you take a look at this division race, Texas as of now sits a half game back, Seattle 2.5 back. The Rangers at the deadline, it looked like they were kind of packing it in, and yet they found themselves a nice little spurt here in August. Which team do you think it ultimately comes down to battling it out down the stretch in this division?
Well, I think it's going to be the Astros, have it right in front of them, and they under their control. If they play good baseball, I think it's their division to lose. They've got the best player in the division. Right now they have the tiebreaker against the Rangers. It's funny that the Rangers own the Mariners own the Astros, and the Astros have fallen to the Mariners. So you don't know when each of these teams play each other. I just feel like the Astros have the pedigree to win it down the stretch. Feel really comfortable in the latter stages of the game when they have the lead, especially with Hader knocking it down in the 9th inning. So I'll take the Astros in this. I know I'm a bit of a homer, and I root for these guys because I've gotten to know them so well, and we travel together, and I've gotten to know their parents and all those things. But I still think they got as good of a chance as anybody in this division to win it.
Steve, can't thank you enough for doing this. Enjoy hearing you all the time, as we mentioned. Enjoy the city, enjoy New York, and we'll see. Hopefully the Astros can grab a handful more victories before they head back.
I will. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
That's Steve Sparks, one of the radio voices of the Houston Astros. He and Robert Ford, of course, bring you the action all the time on our airwaves, as I mentioned a couple times there already. 6:05 first pitch, Astros and Yankees tonight. It's game number 2. The Astros took game number 1, 9-7. Really fun back-and-forth, high-scoring game last night in Yankee Stadium, and they will see if they can clinch the series. Astros are 24-13 against teams with a winning record this season, yet their record sits at even 500. So they are 11 games below 500 against teams with a losing record. Tough to figure out, but that's how the Stros have had it going, and obviously the Yankees have a winning record by a lot, so they're hoping that the theme of playing well against good competition continues tonight. Then they'll have a finale tomorrow before they go right across the city, not too far to go. Astros will go from the Bronx and face the Yankees to Queens to face the Mets this weekend in another 3-game set. All right, we'll take our final break of hour number 1. We got a poll question of the day to introduce you to. We've also got some news out of UL, a pretty significant proposal that would honor a legend if the Cajuns got it passed. We'll tell you what that is to close out the first hour as well.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The ESPN Southwest Louisiana YouTube channel is the best new way to stay locked in with our station. Visit the channel today and subscribe to get notified whenever our shows are going live or we upload new content. The best part, it's completely free to watch and subscribe. Common misconception, costs nothing to subscribe at all. So just head to YouTube, search ESPN_SWLA, hit the subscribe button. That makes sure that you won't miss anything new from Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 1037, North Vermilion on 1063 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 1071 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z1059, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 1041. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Beer lovers, this is your day. Gulf Brew is back in downtown Lafayette, Saturday, September 19th from 3 until 7 p.m. Taste more than 200 craft beers from breweries across the region. Catch live music, enjoy local food, shop vendors, and soak up one incredible downtown party. It's a perfect tailgate spot before you head to the game. Whether you're sipping brews or enjoying the designated driver experience with specialty mocktails, there's something for everyone. Get your tickets now at downtownlafayette.org.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time, when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
Do yourself a favor and download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, powered by Moss Motors BMW for your Android or Apple devices. Download the app by searching ESPN 1037 Lafayette or ESPN 1041 Lake Charles. It's just that easy to take Southwest Louisiana's sports station with you wherever you go.
All right, so the never-ending saga here. So the NFL passed some guidelines earlier that basically said that players kind of weren't going to have the opportunity to go back and forth here on this deal, right? So, like, if a player committed to go back to college, like Daquan Wright or Xavier Harris, and then I guess the main thing in there was if then it doesn't work out and they don't get eligibility back, they're not free to just rejoin their NFL team or re-sign with another one. They would be eligible to sign with a team next year, but that would be a waiting period for them. And apparently there was another vote with the presidents to confirm penalties for the NFL returnee ban, and LSU reportedly abstained from the vote today. So it was 15-0 in favor of, agreeing with the NFL returnee ban, but LSU was not part of that vote. Whereas yesterday, I think a lot of us asked the question, well, wait a minute. We know LSU's trying to get all these players in place, so why would their president have voted to support this SEC, ban on these players. And so I don't know what changes from today versus yesterday, how new the vote was or all that stuff, but we do at least have that report. That's via On3. So that is reliable information. Our poll question of the day, we asked you on Facebook and on X this morning, what is the biggest threat to college athletics? Is it everything being sponsored? Is it the players being paid? Is it the pros coming back? Or is it something else? Had some write-in votes for all of the above. Richie says he doesn't really know what to say because of all the parity. He thinks the pro thing is a one-off, so he's fine with players getting paid, and he has to be fine with the sponsors to go along with it. Mitch also wanted all of the above. Donald feels that paying amateur athletes millions of dollars makes them no longer amateurs, which is a fair argument that we've kind of discussed about from the beginning of this thing. Whether players would be considered employees or not is something that hasn't quite been resolved yet. Voting percentages, by the way, 47% of you think players being paid is the biggest threat. 26% say the pros coming back. 21% say other. 6% say everything being sponsored. I did want to make a note before the end of the hour. I told you this. There's a proposal for UL to rename its baseball facility Tony Robichaux Park. I wrote a blog about this on the website if you want to check out a little bit more information about it. There's some quotes in there from different parties involved. Russo Stadium Club is also another proposal. So the stadium club that's being built over there would have Russo's name attached to it. The Russo family's given a ton of money, of course, with the original naming of Russo Park. But that is a proposal as of now to rename that facility Tony Robichaux Park. We know what Coach Robe meant to the program, to the area, to the community. And so that is a proposal that the UL board will be taking a look at on their weekly agenda. So did want to mention that. And then last thing I have for you before the end of the hour, our fantasy leagues for the shows. We've done these for as long as I've been here. We've had a great turnout. It used to be one league. Then we expanded the one league. Then we had to go to two leagues because there was so much interest. And once again, we've had to expand those leagues as well. So we're proud to announce 14 teams in each of them. There's an RP3 and Mesh League. There's a LohDown BP League where me and Blake Purser are both in it. And we are full at 14 teams apiece. So we've got 28 teams across those two leagues. If you weren't able to get into one of these leagues this year, just know they fill up quick, but next year we might even have to expand them again, maybe add a third league. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out when we get to next season. But if you are in one of the leagues, we are also proud to announce that we're going to do the drafts live here at the studios. If you can't attend in person, that's okay. We'll still do them online, like through the Sleeper app. But if you want to come hang out with us, pizza, drinks, stuff like that, we'll be doing that next Thursday night at 6 o'clock. That is Thursday night at 6, which is September 3rd, I do believe. Yep, that's right, because the opener's the 5th. Friday's the 4th. Thursday is September the 3rd. So we will be having that here in our studios. If you're in one of those leagues, there is a message in the Sleeper app, but I didn't know how many of you check that app daily, so I've tried to send that out to everybody. But if you're a listener who's in that league and hasn't gotten that message yet, there's more information in the app. And we look forward to seeing you here potentially to kind of hang out, celebrate the start of the season, and a record-breaking number of people in our fantasy leagues this year. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Last year, James and I here on this show kind of did a weekly update on how both leagues were going since we're both in opposite leagues. Plan to do that again, keeping track of how everything's rolling along. So we'll do that, and we look forward to have another season of fantasy football. Speaking of which, bottom of the second hour, I got a name for you. I'm excited to ask Alan Saunders about how this specific Pittsburgh Steelers player is fitting into the offense. But he will be later on. After this break is Zach Nagy, LSU on 247. So many things to ask Zach about. How will we ever narrow it down to a 15-minute segment? We'll figure it out one way or the other. Zach joins us to talk the latest on this ruling, LSU and the vote, all that stuff and more after this. So you're listening to the LohDown. It is a Wednesday edition of the show. It is the exact midway point of our show on the midway point of your week. Stay tuned. Hour number 2 coming up next.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Karen Crow Lafayette, KLCJ FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
Sports Center. I'm Christine Lisi. ACC athletic directors met today, and there's momentum for the ACC to join the Big Ten and SEC in banning NFL players from joining rosters at their schools, reports ESPN's Pete Thamel. Still a few more steps before that happens, though. The goal is for the ACC board to meet and vote in the next 24 hours. This week's actions by the conferences is about one thing, according to ESPN football analyst Louis Riddick.
Keeping it fair for kids who are 17, 18, 19 years old and playing college football, and having them not play against guys who are 24, 25, 26 years old. That's the kind of thing that really starts to bother me, is when you have older guys who are physically more developed at 24, 25, and 26 playing against guys who are true freshmen, 19 and 20 years old.
NFL Falcons quarterback Michael Penix Jr. continuing to make his way back from a torn ACL will not play in Friday's preseason finale. Tua Tagovailoa will start. Cooper Rush, Jack Strand will get reps afterwards. Penix Jr. just returned to full practices on Monday. Giants receiver Calvin Austin III out the entire upcoming season with a torn ACL in his right knee.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Thursday, we wrap up our 2-a-days with the Patriots. Was last year's Super Bowl appearance a sign of things to come for them, or just a one-year wonder? It's on Sportsman, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is the LohDown. It is hour number 2 of 2, ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles, anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app, and also, of course, streaming live on YouTube every single day. ESPN_SWLA is where you can go to find us there. We have had a lot to talk about, and as I said before, it seemingly is not ending with this whole court case / NCAA ruling / conference ruling / NFL jutting in there, making their own opinions heard. Players, in theory, trying to get ready to practice and play against Clemson, but maybe they won't, and maybe they'll play for other teams, or maybe they won't. And so to break it all down with us, our friend Zach Nagy, we're going to try and parse through this as best we can. Of course, he covers LSU for 247. Zach, what's going on, man? Some of this stuff is pretty hard to fathom.
Yeah, you're not lying, Dawson. It is ridiculous.
Always love coming on and talking ball. Excited to obviously talk about some LSU, man. 10 days away till kickoff, but you can't hide the fact that there's some crazy stuff from a legal perspective happening. Not even behind the scenes. It is full-fledged in headlines. So excited to talk about it with you, man.
I don't even know where to begin. So I guess I'll just leave it up to you. Like, what all have you been hearing, and what has changed as caught up as you are from the last couple days about these players and these schools and the consequences that they might be dealt, and like where we're actually at with it? You can go any direction you want.
Yeah, I think it all starts, early last weekend. LSU went out and signed fifth-year senior, junior Tui Halamaka, a really talented edge rusher for the Fighting Irish, who was granted a fifth year of eligibility in August. Fast forward 48 hours later, and you see all the buzz happening with Daquan Wright, where he gets waived by the Cleveland Browns. Lane Kiffin and company pounce on that immediately, agree to terms, ultimately pending on whatever happens with him getting cleared from a waivers perspective. He does ultimately get cleared. And then, of course, you look at the Xavier Harris situation where we've been on top of that one for the last couple of days, where everything was trending in that direction. And then ultimately they agree to terms. So you have three players here, Dawson, that are immediate impact pieces. I mean, Junior Tui Halamaka gives you a really solid role piece there to work with. Xavier Harris is a 6'8", 330-pounder that fills a position of need. Daquan Wright, of course, plug-and-play guy. So you got three guys there that you go out and you ultimately land, and then the legalities start to come into the fold Monday, or the SEC makes their initial statement. Tuesday, they double down on their stance with a much stronger perspective where you look at all the penalties and everything else that comes with it. And now it's a waiting game. You start to sit back and see what happens in a courtroom. Is LSU going to go back into that courtroom and try to get preliminary injunctions for Daquan Wright, Junior Tui Halamaka, and Xavier Harris? The answer is yes. In those preliminary injunctions, are they also going to try to, let's say, attack these new SEC penalties? Yes, they are. Obviously, last night, when everything started to break about the penalties and this, that, and the other and how harsh they were going to be, the vote was, of course, 16-0. It was unanimous. But then fast forward to today, and it was not unanimous. LSU abstained from a vote when it came to the penalties for, breaking these new rules. And that's where we stand right now. You wait until next week, where these preliminary injunction hearings will be in a Baton Rouge court here in the 19th Judicial Court, and see what happens there. But LSU certainly feels they have a case to go and win this, and feels they have a dog in the fight, too, to make sure these guys are eligible, as well as not have to face those harsh penalties as well.
Do you have any idea, Zach, about if these players are going to be able to practice, be around the team in the meantime? I mean, move in, go to class? I don't know any of that stuff. Like, what are these players doing while they sit here and wait?
Yeah, I can confirm that Xavier Harris is in Baton Rouge. Daquan Wright is also believed to be in Baton Rouge as well. And Junior Tui Halamaka is expected to be in town this week if he has not arrived already. The belief is that they're going to start to practice this week, and we'll see what happens from there. There's a lot of what-ifs, unknowns. I mean, are these guys going to put on the purple and gold and then, sit here and wait? What happens there? So I can definitely confirm that Xavier Harris is in town. He's been in town for a couple of days as well. And then you wait to see for the other guys as well. But it's tricky. I wish I could come here and give these definitive answers, but I don't think anybody has definitive answers, Dawson. It changes by the minute. I can't even say the hour anymore. It seems like I haven't been able to set my phone down. You haven't been able to set your phone down. Nobody has, in the media space, just because things continue to change in the blink of an eye. But I can tell you that those guys are in town, and if they're not in town, they're on their way to be.
Zach Nagy is our guest, 247 Sports. We're breaking down all this stuff with LSU and the NCAA and the SEC and the NFL and any other entity that wants to get involved, I guess, at this point. All right, I'll ask your opinion on this, Zach, since we know it's all kind of back and forth. We know, and I thought specifically, especially with what you've talked about with the defensive line depth being a little bit of a problem, like there's no doubt the Xavier Harris one makes a ton of sense why they'd want him on the roster. Is there going to come a point in this situation where Kiffin might just say, you know what, all the distraction and all the kind of focus away from football isn't worth it? Or do you think he's just dead set on getting these guys eligible and fighting however long it takes to happen? What's your take on that?
I think that a lot of people that know Lane Kiffin and the way that his mind operates, when he gets locked in on something, he's locked in. I mean, this is a guy who has, I'm not going to say tunnel vision, but when he puts a primary focus on something, he wants to get it done. And that's why he's such a great coach, right? Because when he gets dialed in, it's scary for his opponents. And in this case, his opponent is, the SEC. And he's going to go up against them and battle this. I can't foresee a world where LSU and Kiffin back down from this. I think they're so deep into it that there's no point in stopping now. These guys have their TROs, their temporary restraining orders, but those are going to expire, and you have to go get your preliminary injunction in order to take these next steps to move on. And we'll see if they do that, Dawson. I think they will. I think they're going to continue to fight. Junior Tuihalamaka's situation is a lot different. I see no world where he's not eligible for LSU this year. He didn't sign any NFL contracts. He didn't go to camps. He didn't do anything. His situation is pretty cut and dry, in my opinion. But when you talk about Daquan Wright and you talk about Xavier Harris, yeah, that's where it gets super tricky. I mean, there's no beating around the bush there. But I'd have to expect that Lane's going to kind of keep a foot on the gas here and continue to try to make this happen because Xavier Harris is an X factor at a position of need, in my opinion.
All right, let's talk about the actual team because we are 10 days away from the start of the season, believe it or not, right? So what did you get from camp last week as they kind of move into this game week portion? I saw some reports they're going to kind of try and do a little simulated, weekend here where they're kind of treating it like what a game weekend would be. What are you hearing about where this team's at and kind of how they're trying to block out all this noise, as we've said, and still move towards the opener against Clemson?
Yeah, Dawson, they operated in a close scrimmage last Saturday in Tiger Stadium during the day this time. Scrimmage number 1 was in the evening. Scrimmage number 2 was during the day, and it was a really strong performance from this team. The offense came out a little sluggish, but from everybody that I spoke to, considering it was close to the media, they said that it was really strong when it came to the rushing attack later on in the game. We look at the defense. It's strong. There's going to be pieces there. I don't want to contradict myself because I do have concerns about the interior defensive line. But from a big picture perspective, this defense has been strong. They've looked strong behind closed doors. And the expectation is that Blake Baker will continue to keep them strong going into the 2026 season. So I'm really excited about what this team can do on paper right now. They've looked the part during practice. You have so much top-end talent that it's hard for me to envision a world where they don't succeed. The floor for me right now remains 9-3. I can't envision a world where they go 8-4. So I'm pretty firm on that right now. And during fall camp, it gave us a really good understanding of what this team's all about. So right now, Dawson, whatever happens with Daquan Wright, with Xavier Harris, with Junior Tuihalamaka, whatever happens there, and the other guys that they're pursuing, by the way, they are not slowing down. There are other guys on their radar. No matter what happens with those guys, the roster that they have assembled right now is a college football playoff roster. Just a matter of time for them to click, and hopefully that comes together early in the year because the schedule is so ridiculous in September.
We did get the announcements. The 2 players are going to wear number 7 for them. Trey'Dez Green on offense, Whit Weeks on defense. Both those guys were in Tampa. It was a chance for me to hang around them for the first time, and they were both very impressive. So I'm not stunned by this, but what are your thoughts on the next 2 to wear number 7 for LSU?
I love it. I mean, these are 2 guys that have earned it. You talk about Trey'Dez Green, who is, a former 5-star, Louisiana native. A guy who's set to explode in Lane Kiffin's offense. I mean, he fits this to a T. So Trey'Dez wasn't a surprise at all. Whit, I would have loved to have seen him in number 18, but I can't complain. You put a defensive playmaker in number 7. I love it. I mean, he's earned it. He deserves it. He's a leader on the field. He's a leader off the field. He's a playmaker on the field. So he exemplifies exactly what a number 7 is all about. So I love it. People are going to have their statements and questions and concerns about having 2 people in it and, somebody on offense, whatever it is. There's always going to be people who have statements about it. But I'm a big fan. I think Whit deserves it, and I think Trey'Dez has earned it as well.
And what about Braylon Moore getting 18? Of course, we know that it'll have to be a patch because they're not going to let an offensive lineman wear 18. But what do you make of that one as well?
Yeah, that one caught me by surprise, man. I love it, though. This is a guy who's the anchor along that offensive line. Brett Bordelon was somebody, Bo Bordelon, was somebody who I really would have loved to have seen get in contention for that. talking about a player who's a fifth-year senior, a guy who is a Louisiana native, kind of fits the mold there. So I would have loved to have seen Bo Bordelon be in consideration there, but no complaints for Braylon. Braylon Moore is one hell of a player, super talented, a leader, of course, as well, and that's what you want in number 18. So no complaints from me either there. A ton of guys that were worthy of wearing that, but nonetheless, they rolled with Braylon Moore, and I can't complain. He's a super good guy, and, of course, a really talented center, being the anchor of that O-line.
Week 0 this weekend, man. Is it going to feel like full football season for you, you think, or you still need that full week 1 slate to get there?
Tell you what, Dawson, I'm counting down the minutes until we get to actual football. Even if it's only week 0, I am so excited just to see everybody get back in action, get on the field, and hopefully, dismiss a little bit of this, the eligibility wars and all this courtroom stuff. I cannot wait to see, teams back in action this weekend. So no doubt, it's going to feel real. I'm excited about it. Football season's here. I'm so ecstatic for everything to start getting back into the swing of things.
That is true, and next week it'll be a full-blown game preview. We'll be asking you some questions about the Clemson Tigers and what it's going to look like, and hopefully we have clarity on who is or isn't playing, but maybe we won't. We'll see. Zach, appreciate it as always, buddy.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. It's been a crazy ride this offseason, of course, and 10 days away. Can't wait to talk about it next week. Cannot believe the offseason has rolled by this quickly, man. Talk soon.
There we go. It's our guy, Zach Nagy, covering LSU for 247 Sports. It is, it's something. That's what it is. That's what I got. Sometimes you I talk for a living. So you try and put everything into words. Pretty stumped on how to describe this whole deal. Not quite sure. So let's do this. Let's take a break. I'll gather my thoughts. We will switch gears a little bit. Got some other things to hit on here on a Wednesday edition of the show. We've been heavy on this situation to this point, but let's reset some things. Let's go to New Orleans. Let's do a little Saints talk on. I think there's a little bit of an overreaction being had on the Saints injury situation. I'll give my thoughts on that when we return. It's the Lowdown.
This is the Lowdown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The ESPN Southwest Louisiana YouTube channel is the best new way to stay locked into our station, and I already read that read. So the Gaydon Duck Festival returns August 27th through the 30th. The festival highlights the hunting heritage of the Acadiana region and offers great entertainment with its duck and goose calling contest, skeet shooting, dog trials, duck dash, and decoy carving. In addition to great food and drinks, there will be a variety of musical acts performing, including Wayne Toops and Zyda Cajun, Gino Delafosse and French Rock and Boogie, and Tracy Bird. Make sure to head down to the Duck Capital of America for the Gaydon Duck Festival. For more information, visit www.duckfestival.org today.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners!
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
Whether it's a tempting text message or a quick glance at your GPS, taking your eyes off the road for just a moment can have serious consequences. This includes turning around or reaching down. Distractive driving includes eating or putting on makeup. Distractive driving is anything that diverts your attention from driving. I'm Lorraine Luquette Vinoy with Service Chevrolet Cadillac, encouraging you to drive smart, drive safe, and keep those eyes on the road, Acadiana. This message is powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and this radio station, where safety meets style on the road.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certification. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Life can get hectic. That's why Progressive provides claim support 24/7, 365 days a year. All the time. But not like in a desperate way. We're not just waiting online for you to talk to us or waiting by the phone. I mean, we are waiting by the phone, but not like staring at it. Well, now I am. I'm staring at it. The point is, Progressive Claim Support is here for you 24/7 in a totally chill, normal way. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
The best time to recommit to your gut health goals? Right now. Take charge of your gut with Nature Made. Our clinically studied ingredients support digestive health. Digestive enzymes break down nutrients. Probiotic and prebiotic fiber nourish good gut bacteria. And supergreens with probiotics empower daily digestive health. Try the full lineup of gut health support from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You know the routine. Eat, sleep, sports talk, repeat.
Well, up and at 'em. We're here.
Here is more daily sports talk from ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles.
All right, I think it was my duty to bring us some positivity and some happiness on this day. It's been a weird day with all the drama, and as we discussed, just trying to keep track of like what the next legal dilemma is going to be. So let's have some good things to talk about. I think there's a little bit of an overblown sense of panic along the New Orleans Saints and their injury situation, okay? I don't think it's a nothing burger, right? I don't think it's nothing to worry about because they have had some key losses. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of thoughts about this Saints team kind of being just completely, falling in. And Kevin was asking about it this morning. Is this going to be another one of those seasons where it all just feels like it's for naught because you're starting the year banged up and you don't have any chance to get healthy? I have not once gotten the inkling that we're near that point yet, personally, okay? It all started with Brian Brzee, right? And we know he's out for the year. And we know Dylan Radins followed that up, okay? Those are the two players, and then we added Ty Chandler to that. So that's three players that are out for the season. IR, don't worry about them. Put them aside.
I got 6 total.
6 players that are done for the year.
Yeah, so Brzee, Radins, Ty Chandler, Maliki Mataveo, the tight end.
Okay.
Nick Saldivari had already been put on injury back in
guy.
mini camp or whatever.
Is he ever going to play?
And then a cornerback that probably wasn't going to make the roster anyway, but Rajon
Wright, right? Okay, so 6 players. But out of those 6, 5 of them, I don't think we're going to be significantly involved in this season for the Saints if things went well, okay? Mataveo was going to be the 4th tight end, best case scenario. Maybe he could have slid into the 3rd spot if Fant or Delp didn't work out. But your 4th tight end, your 6th or 7th best offensive lineman, okay, in Radins, which I know there's an argument to be had if you don't like Cesar Ruiz, whatever, was not going to start the season as a starter in a healthy situation. Rajon Wright was going to be fighting to make the roster. Ty Chandler was going to be fighting to make the roster. At best, maybe would have been a special teams contributor and if the depth chart got really thin, giving you some run at running back. Brian Brzee, significant starter, contributor, all that. Got it. So of the players we're talking about that are done for the year, there's one in my mind that's significant to the success of this football team. One season-ending injury going into the regular season in the NFL is basically going to happen on every team across the league. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a team that doesn't have some sort of key contributor that's out for the year. We know it in our own division. Nick Scorton with Carolina, right? We've already seen the substation claim all its victims in San Francisco. There are a ton of teams that are without a key contributor for the year at this point. So then you go, all right, well, hey, D-Loh, that's not all the injuries we have. What about Jordan Tyson? What about Alvin Kamara? All right, let's do it. Kat Terrell, injuries by position. She put this out 2 days ago. 4 players listed at receiver that are banged up right now. Tyson's one of them. The other 3 are Trey Palmer, Bub Means, and Mason Tipton. If you're counting on Trey Palmer and Mason Tipton to be impact players this season, I don't think we were talking about having the same caliber year that I was talking about having, okay? So I'm not all that concerned about those two. Bub Means, he's had a nice camp. He's had a nice preseason, had some moments. So I get wanting Bub to be out there. But just like we said before, what are we talking about there? Best case scenario, he was going to be your fourth wide receiver? That's not a significant loss. The Tyson one is. And that, for me, the Tyson injury is right there below Brzee as being incredibly important. But 2 injuries in camp is not something to write home about. Let's go to running back. Ty Chandler, Devin Neal, Alvin Kamara. Ty Chandler, as I said, that was a fringe roster spot for me in the first place. Not worried about it. Devin Neal, never seen it yet. Always liked the potential, but never seen it yet. Not worried there. Alvin Kamara, there was an entire segment of the offseason where we operated as if Kamara wasn't going to be back at all anyway. We were talking about the future. You went out and signed Achane for a reason. So Alvin Kamara potentially missing a handful of games does not alter my thoughts on the path of what this season's going to look like either. Tight end, Matt DeVeo and Delp, potentially tight end 3 and 4. I'm okay with those injuries. I mean, obviously, love to get Oscar Delp back pretty soon. I've been encouraged with what he's looked like. He's a rookie tight end that's going to be behind Juwan Johnson and potentially behind Fant as well. Defensive backs, the Quincy Riley one. All right, there's another one that I am, that one needs to be monitored, but we haven't gotten any sort of bad news on Quincy Riley of late. We haven't had anything come out that says, hey, Quincy Riley may miss the start of the season the way we've had with Kamara and Tyson and all those guys. So as of now, I'm still operating like Quincy's going to play, and hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. Then Styles and Beenum. Fringe roster players may or may not have made the team anyway. Let's keep going through it. Offensive line. Ruiz has been banged up. Torricelli, Simpkins, and Wesley. Wesley, not worth mentioning. That's another fringe player. Ruiz, as I said, we haven't heard specifically that he's going to miss time in the regular season. So I'm not all that worried there. Linebacker, Rumpf, another peripheral player. Defensive line, Cam Jordan, John Ridgway, and Christian Miller. Cam Jordan is another player that we operated roughly 4 months out of the offseason thinking he wasn't going to be back anyway. He's a nice bonus. You're not building your defensive line around Cam Jordan. That doesn't say Chase Young's out. That says Cam Jordan. That is not a major concern for me. John Ridgway is another peripheral player who was going to, be a rotational piece behind him. I'm not panicked there. And Christian Miller's a rookie who we haven't seen it yet from. So I'm not trying to sit here and minimize all of this and say you have no injuries to worry about. But my point is that the only players that we have had confirmed that we know for sure are going to miss regular season games, of that group, there's maybe 2 or 3 players that I thought we were even going to notice on the first Sunday of the season anyway. So that's not making me rethink the entire complexion of the season. And are the Saints a great? I think what's also happening is it's like a little bit of the injury thing, but we're also, and I'm with you there, it is hard to get the taste and the sights and sounds of Saturday out of my brain because it was abysmal. But if you do it, if you allow yourself to buy into the whole, they put all their energy and effort and focus into the joint practices that happened in the days prior, and they didn't have a ton left in the tank, and they weren't particularly locked in on the Saturday preseason game. If you allow yourself to buy into that, then what are we really freaking out about at this point? I got to bring James in on this. Like, am I just being way too optimist here? Like, am I pulling what Kevin Foote thinks he is? Or am I right to say that, yeah, the Saints have some injury concerns, but this is not like season-altering yet?
Yeah, no, we haven't gotten to that point. And
maybe people are scarred from what's happened in the past, just kind of expecting it to continue to snowball.
Yeah, it's a here we go again, and we haven't even seen like the first team offense out there yet. But the thing is, you may not be losing the top guys just yet, or too many top guys, but at the same time, if those guys go down, well, your second and third options are the ones that's already down. So then you're being like, well, now we're really having to grasp at straw. So you may not have lost the top layer, but the bottom layers are already crumbling in a sense that your foundation may not be as good as you thought because you're trying to build your depth back up.
I get that.
But if the depth is already gone, and if you lose guys that are the headliners, well, then it's what's left. So then at that point, yes, you look at it from the perspective of it's fine because you still have Chris Olave, you still have Travis Etienne, you still have Tyler Shuck. and Kool-Aid McKinstry and others. But once those guys goes down, the guys that you thought you had behind him are also gone, and now that had previously happened.
So we got to hit a break here, but I will say it's a good point raised by you. The margin for error has maybe gone down a bit as far as you can't afford a couple more significant ones. I still do think we have been in worse spots in the past, and I'd argue this time last year you were already in a worse spot, and that last year we didn't even know who the quarterback was going to be at this point of the preseason. So let's do this. Let's take a break. We will take also a break from the Saints issues and concerns, and we'll talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers issues and concerns. Preview 32 rolls on with our friend Alan Saunders after this.
This is the Lowdown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros opened up their series with the New York Yankees with a 9-7 win in the Bronx last night. Yainer Diaz had a huge night at the plate, going 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and 3 RBI. Game 2 of the series will be tonight, and it'll be Peter Lambert on the mound for Houston while the Yankees are yet to name their starter. First pitch is at 6:05 p.m., and you can listen to it on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Around the AL West, the White Sox beat the Rangers 11-7. The Guardians beat the Angels 8-6. The Athletics beat the Twins 4-2, and the Mariners beat the Phillies 4-1. With those results, Houston still narrowly holds on to first place with a half-game lead over the Rangers. A few recent LSU signings could see their futures with the Tigers in jeopardy after SEC schools voted unanimously 16-0 to bar athletes from returning to college sports after playing for a professional franchise. The rule states that if a player has declared for a professional draft and did not withdraw, signed a pro contract, or has been listed by a professional franchise's roster, then the player is ineligible to return to play in college, and any schools that violate this can be penalized by the league's commissioner. In Williamsport yesterday, 4 teams kept their Little League World Series hopes alive by fending off elimination. Today, 4 more games will take place. In the winner's bracket at 12, Curaçao will play Latin America. Then the Mountain Region will play the Midwest at 2 p.m. Then in the elimination bracket, Canada will play Japan at 4 p.m. and Southeast will face the Great Lakes region at 6 p.m. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit B1Bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With MASH.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard.
We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The NFL season is closer than you think. And D-Loh wants to make sure you're prepared once it's here.
I like this kind of party.
It's time for Preview 32 on the LohDown.
Preview 32 rolls on. We hit double digits yesterday with our 10th team. That was the Cleveland Browns. Today we stay in the AFC North, and we will be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Back with us for another season. We're excited to welcome back onto the show our friend Alan Saunders, who covers the Steelers for Pittsburgh Steelers Now. Alan, how has your offseason been, my friend? Thank you for doing this.
It was hectic, man. We got a new head coach in Pittsburgh for the first time since 2007. I was still in college then. I'm an old man now. That's a long time. So it's been a very busy and very new offseason.
Yeah, how has that gone? I mean, what has been kind of the feeling, given that, as you mentioned there, I mean, the Steelers have been operating under Mike Tomlin as long as any team in the NFL had been operating under a coach. What's it been like to have a new voice in there?
It's been extremely different. It's like covering an entirely different franchise. Not only is Mike McCarthy, a very different guy and a very different coach than Mike Tomlin, he also comes with a lot of experience, and I would say it's sort of fairly set in his ways. So in my experience, when you have a coaching turnover, if you hire a new coach, a young guy, someone new to the position, he might absorb some more things from his predecessor. Mike McCarthy knew exactly what he wanted to do with everything about this franchise, and almost none of it is what they were doing before. So it has been a very, very different. Who knows if it'll be good or better or whatever. That's still very much TBD, but almost everything about covering the Steelers offseason has been very different under Mike McCarthy.
It's actually interesting you say that, Alan, because I think some of the kind of reaction was, well, McCarthy, that's kind of a placeholder hire, a veteran coach who's been around, and he's already been, had a couple different chances, so they're just kind of trying to see if they can still squeeze something out of this window, and then they'll fully reset if they have to. But if what you're saying is true, it sounds like Mike McCarthy isn't taking it like that. He's making this his operation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he's going to be the coach for 15 years. I mean, 62 years old. That seems somewhat unreasonable. But I think, this was a pretty clear mandate to change from the ownership. You look at what Mike Tomlin had done, an incredibly successful career, won a Super Bowl, probably going to the Hall of Fame someday. If he wants to coach again, I'm sure he'll be highly desired. Very good coach. I think it was hard for them to look at what he had done and say, well, we can do better under that same idea. Just go hire another young defensive coordinator, and you'll find one better than Mike Tomlin. I think they felt like that was a tough task. And so they looked at the way they'd always done things and said, maybe we need a coach who approaches this problem from a different perspective, someone who's going to coach up the offense, someone whose process and history is in developing quarterbacks instead of being so focused on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll see if we have more success that way. So I think in some ways it's probably a short-term hire, but it's sort of a trial balloon for a big picture change in organizational priorities.
Well, it's very interesting. You mentioned the quarterback development because we know, of course, well, maybe that has to do with what's passed this year, but there's no development needed for the guy who's going to play quarterback this time around, and that's Aaron Rodgers again. Tons of points in this offseason where it looked like maybe he'd be done, maybe he wouldn't, and now he is ultimately back. What do you make of the decision to run it back with Rodgers one more time?
I think he really won over the organization with the way he held himself in the locker room last year. He really did help with Will Howard, who was their young quarterback drafted last year. They wanted to draft another one this year, and they felt like Aaron Rodgers was the right guy to be a mentor of young quarterbacks for them, in addition to being a pretty good quarterback. And putting him together with Mike McCarthy, I think they think the game the same way, and I think that McCarthy will be able to get a little bit more out of Rodgers than the Steelers did last year. But I think it's mostly just about they felt like he made their whole offense better. And, he's such a good teammate, really, really loved in that locker room, really poured himself into the young quarterbacks. And they want him to be the guy who helps develop their next starting quarterback.
I know, part of the thing with Rodgers at times last year, this supporting cast around him and kind of getting these receivers on the same page. What have you been hearing about the idea of, having a guy like Michael Pittman Jr. in that room alongside DK Metcalf, and maybe just the ability that Rodgers is going to be able to spread the football around a little more this season?
Yeah, Michael Pittman and the second-round pick, Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. I think the addition of those two guys is a huge difference maker for this offense. It doesn't let teams focus so much attention on DK Metcalf. I think they want to be, like Mike McCarthy has been in his past, a big 11 personnel team. That's not what the Steelers have been before. They needed more talent at the wide receiver position to do that, and they went out and got it. I think Pittman will really help in terms of being a really sure-handed, big-body possession receiver. They're still probably a little bit lacking in terms of absolute speed on the outside and explosiveness, things like that, but they are a big physical group, man. Jeremy Bernard is not a small guy, and he's the smallest of their wide receivers. I think that's a pretty good unit. And then you add Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, who's like a pulling guard out there at tight end, and I think they're a tough group to tackle. West Coast offense has always been good at throwing it short. I think that's sort of the game plan here for the Steelers in 2026.
I did have it down to congratulate you, Alan, because last year you correctly predicted the Steelers' record at 10-7 on this show, so you have something in your cap there. This year, instead of a record prediction, I'm asking people, who is the most important player on this roster in your mind? Who's got to get it done for the Steelers this season?
Great question. I'm going to go with left tackle Troy Fautanu. He is moving from right tackle to left tackle. He lost his rookie season to a knee injury in 2024, started last year for the first time at right tackle and played very well. They decided to move him to the left side, step up in competition, step up in importance of the role. They have a lot invested in this offensive line. Aaron Rodgers is 42, going to turn 43 this year, doesn't move that well anymore. If they are going to have success as an offense, they need this offensive line to be a quality unit. I think they feel very comfortable with Zach Frazier, the third-year center. He's looked very promising. I think Fautanu is much more of a question mark. If he hits, and I think he can be a very good player, if he turns out to be one of the better left tackles in football, this offensive line is going to be a good one. If he struggles with this transition, it could be a rocky September for Aaron Rodgers. And it only takes one guy getting past him to end the season of a 42-year-old, and then the Steelers are kind of sunk.
Alan Saunders is our guest, talking Pittsburgh Steelers here. It's Preview 32. Is there a player who's been maybe not getting a ton of publicity nationally, but in camp has been getting buzzed about locally that you think might make a big impact for this team?
Dalen Everett, the third-round rookie out of Georgia. You look at the depth chart, and there's not really a place to put him. The Steelers are pretty deep. Santi Samuel also has had a very good training camp. I would say those two guys, they look extraordinarily deep at cornerback. They're sort of both the backups on paper to Jamel Dean and Joey Porter Jr. We'll see how they use them. I expect both of those guys are going to play at least a little bit, if not a lot. That's a real deep cornerback group. And I think when you look at what the Steelers have always been about on defense and the way Patrick Graham has done things, new defensive coordinator, I think they're going to be able to blitz because I think they're going to trust those defensive backs to hold up. And I think that's a different mindset than the Steelers have had the last few years, where they were sort of piecing it together. They had some older guys in there, Patrick Peterson for his last year. They had Darius Slay in there last year. This feels like a different idea of this secondary where they really trust those guys. And I think the depth there is a big part of it. And if they can blitz more with the talent they have at edge rusher, that could be really scary.
Alan, it's so fascinating when you look at the AFC North because, Cleveland is still a mess, I think is fair to say right now, and they've named Deshaun Watson the starter. We'll see how that goes for them. But then you look at Baltimore, who just like Pittsburgh has new voices in that room for the first time in forever. And then the Bengals, it just never formed for them, but they still have a franchise quarterback that you feel like if they get it right, there's a chance for them to be good again pretty quickly. What do you make of this division and kind of whose division it is to lose and who might be contending for it in the end?
Well, Cleveland is a mess, and the other two teams, Baltimore and Cincinnati, they've been more talented than Pittsburgh for a number of years now, but you wouldn't really know it to look at the results. I think it's a question as to whether those two things, and you sort of need to take them separately, will continue. Can Pittsburgh under Mike McCarthy continue to outperform talent like they had under Mike Tomlin? And will Baltimore and Cincinnati, Baltimore with a new coach themselves, finally live up to their expectations? That's two teams who for the last 5 years have legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, and I think they have one combined championship game appearance, if I'm not mistaken. They've underwhelmed, I think, more than the Steelers have overachieved. If both of those teams go out there and play as good as they're capable of, I don't know if Pittsburgh really has the horses to run them down, but they've taken advantage when those teams have faltered, and I think they're in position, if that happens once again, to do it once again.
This is probably a pretty tough question because anytime we try to get in the mind of Aaron Rodgers, we're playing with fire there. But what do you think Rodgers is trying to get out of this season? What would be a successful, I guess, send-off or, something along those lines, given that we know he's not your average person. He's just a very unique guy.
So I have had this question before, and I've got what I think is a pretty good answer for what the Steelers are looking for and what Aaron Rodgers is looking for. I think Aaron Rodgers I think he wants to leave a legacy. I think he's focused on the way he's remembered. I don't think he thinks the Steelers are strong Super Bowl contenders. Certainly anything can happen, but I don't think anyone is in any, ill conceptions about their chances. They're not one of the better teams in the league. They're not even, like we just talked about, one of the better teams in their division. But I think he wants to be remembered as a guy who was a very good teammate, who gave it his all the way through. His connection with Mike McCarthy coming full circle is something I think means a lot to him. Mike McCarthy was there for him as a young quarterback. He wants to be there for Mike McCarthy as he enters this new phase of his career. And I think he wants those young guys to learn from him and to bloom, for him to be remembered as sort of the opposite of the way Brett Favre was remembered for the way that he handled things with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I think a couple of years from now, Aaron Rodgers hopes he's getting a FaceTime call from some young Pittsburgh Steelers offensive players in the locker room after a Super Bowl win. I think that's what he's hoping for out of this, to be remembered in that way and hope to do some good in his last run through the NFL.
It's an interesting concept, no doubt about it. Alan, can't thank you enough for doing this. Enjoy the season. We've almost made it. We got a couple more weeks, and then we'll be back at it. So I'm sure we'll talk again during the season, but thank you.
Thank you.
It's Alan Saunders covering the Pittsburgh Steelers there. Preview 32 continues on. That was team number 11. We've got a couple more lined up tomorrow already, so excited for that. We're going to keep things moving along. We're going to talk Houston Texans on tomorrow's show, by the way. So keeping it rolling. We got to get through all of them. I was doing the math again on the days the other day, and I was like, we've got to do more of these, so we're going to keep them rolling. No doubt about it. We've actually got two scheduled. We could even end up having a third tomorrow if all works out. All right, we'll take a break now. We'll come back. We'll give some final thoughts on the day. We'll check and see if there's some new court ruling that we have to update you on about whether or not players are going to play college football this season or not. And we'll get you set up for AFR. All that after the break. It is the LohDown on a Wednesday.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is nearly time to celebrate the tall, green, sweet sugar cane that has long been part of the fabric of Southwest Louisiana. That's right, the Louisiana Sugar Cane Festival and Fair returns to New Iberia Friday, September 25th through Sunday, September 27th. The festival features the annual Blessing of the Crop, a carnival street fair, a 5K, a car show, parades, pageants, and live music with Fado Do featuring musical acts Clay Cormier, Bad Boys Band, Chris Ardwan, and more. For more information, visit www.highsugar.org today.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 1037, North Vermilion on 1063 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 1071 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z1059, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 1041. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Brobridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Brobridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Brobridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Misfits Dine and Drink, a destination restaurant in Broussard, is constantly evolving. Dine in for great food and a great atmosphere. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or brunch on Saturday or Sunday, stop in to enjoy a handmade gourmet pizza or one of their delicious pastas. Take a sip of their new and seasonal craft cocktails and mocktails. And don't forget dessert. Try the birthday cake bread pudding. Whether it's new menu items or old favorites, come to Misfits for a great food experience. It's classic Italian with a modern twist. Misfits Dine and Drink, 200 Heritage Parkway off Highway 90 in Broussard.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason, moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time, when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
I do have another eligibility-based thing to report to you. Texas Tech's got another quarterback, Thomas Castellanos. I'm familiar with him because he was Florida State's quarterback last year. He sued for a fifth year. He is in, I think, the same category as the Notre Dame defensive end that LSU brought in that he doesn't have these extra hurdles because he never signed a pro contract. So Thomas Castellanos headed to Texas Tech. Will Hammond is now their starting quarterback after Brendan Sorsby had his whole debacle. Separate situation, unrelated to this one, believe it or not. Of course, you may remember from that earlier in the offseason. So, new backup quarterback potentially could play. Castellanos is talented, man. It never quite clicked at Florida State, but like that first game against Alabama, he was awesome when the Noles won. And so the talent's there. It's just tough. And honestly, maybe it's perfect for him to go. I wonder if Texas Tech's going to kind of build some packages for him, maybe use him as a gadget player in addition to being their backup quarterback. It could work for them. But they, of course, have title aspirations, as they have always had. And we will see what's going on here in the near future. So I did have one more thing that I wanted to touch on, okay? When this came out earlier today, and I am honestly surprised just at all the passionate opinions on one side or the other. As you all know, for me, I'm a bit of a broadcast nerd, right? I care about little things, score bugs, graphics packages, things that I don't think everyone cares about, but maybe more people care about it than I think. ESPN announced that for the college football season this year, they are no longer going to display the bottom line ticker below the score bugs during college football games. So you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, the little ticker that runs below at the bottom of the screen that has scores from other games, goes around the country, right? Sometimes it's divided up by conference, sometimes it's divided by top 25 scores, and it gives you other scores around the country. It's been there forever. I've seen about a 50-50 split on people saying this is the dumbest thing that's ever happened in the history of Earth, and then people saying this is the best thing that's happened since they invented sliced bread, which, by the way, sliced bread, not as old as you'd think. That is like a 19th century invention. Hadn't been around as long as you might have imagined. Anyway, not the point. I like the ticker. I generally think it is beneficial. And so the logic from the people who wanted it to go away was that it takes up, I don't know, however much. I guess you shouldn't say a quarter of an inch or an inch because that depends on how big your TV is. It takes up, let's say, 5% of the screen at the very bottom. So people like, you're sacrificing the size of the picture, you're sacrificing crisper quality images for this extra thing at the bottom of the screen. And their logic also is, when it came out, it was a great thing because that's how you kept on with the pulse of college football and stuff. Nowadays, everyone has scores wherever they want to find them, whether they go to their phone, their iPad, the computer, wherever else. My logic is, though, I don't know. I don't like to have an extra device out to be keeping track of other scores. It's nice to just have a little check-in. Oh, shoot, the Ohio State-Iowa game's got 2 minutes left, and it's a one-score game. Let me flip over. I like having that piece of information. You've had other people saying, oh, well, this is just ESPN's attempt to make you less informed. Therefore, you won't be able to change the channel to a game that might be on a different network that's closer. I don't know if it's that far. I don't know if it's that deep, guys. I don't know if it's that deep. So, I had multiple different friends of mine text me, one of which they sent me the same tweet, that was the information, and one of them said, finally, this is awesome, and one of them said, this sucks. So, clearly, more of a divide on this than I thought. I'm Team Pro Ticker. I don't know. For whatever, I'm willing to sacrifice a small percentage of the bottom of the screen to have some extra info about games going on around the country that I just may or may not lose track of. That's the other thing about it, as I said. Yeah, I'm going to figure out the scores of all the other games, but if there's something that's time relevant, and the other thing that ticker always did that was nice, they'd have the little priority alerts, right? Where if a touchdown happened late in a game, it would pop up and show you. If a game was close, maybe a team was on upset alert. Hey, the number 12 Texas Longhorns are trailing in the third quarter if you want to tune in. That stuff to me was beneficial. Now, it's not to say we're not going to still have studio updates during the broadcast where they throw and talk about other games that are going on around the country. But that ticker, it appears, is going to be gone, which is interesting to note, at least for the season. Another thing about it, ESPN Plus, I saw some of the teams actually started to implement their own tickers last year. We saw this for Sunbelt games. There was tickers on some of the broadcasts that only showed scores around the Sunbelt, which was pretty cool, given that it's not national TV, right? It's ESPN Plus. It's a streaming service. So I felt like that kind of somehow kept us, or sometimes I should say, kept us in the loop on other games around the country as well. But RIP to the ticker. Had a good run. Feels like it's over, at least for now. I imagine it's still going to stay on for the studio shows and stuff. But for live college football, ESPN says the ticker is no longer. All right, last thing to mention. Hey, the Pelicans made a signing. Ben Mathurin. Ollie Cassell was telling us that the Pelicans were interested in Ben Mathurin maybe 15 years ago, it felt like. Just kidding, but 3 or 4 months. And it finally happened today. 2-year deal, I think. Pels bring in Ben Mathurin. Really talented player coming out of college. It's never fully clicked for him, but It's a nice signing that, as we said, Ollie was alluding to it forever, so clearly this has been a long time coming. They have a new player. How many times we can no longer joke? The Pelicans added an NBA-capable player to their roster today, so that is something. Thank you to our guests. Started it out hot, hour number 1. Rolling all the way through. Zach at the top of hour number 2. Alan Saunders at the bottom of the second hour. Steve Sparks, by the way. Forgot to mention him in the first hour. So thank you to all. Back tomorrow, same places, same times. For now, AFR. Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet, heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes, and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. bbsautosales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
It's hurricane season, and Mid-South Power Solutions wants you and your family to be prepared. Protect your home from sudden power outages with a Generac automatic standby generator, the industry leader. Installed by the experts at Mid-South Power Solutions, the Generac automatic standby generator start up during power failures, keeping your home powered until the local utility restores service. Remember, installing a standby generator is not a do-it-yourself project. Mid-South Power Solutions factory-trained technicians meet the highest standards. Don't get caught in the dark. Visit Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley or at midsouthpowersolutions.com. Mid-South Power Solutions. Your power, our priority.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KL.